Warren Buffett, one of the most legendary investors of all time, the Oracle of Omaha, has 46.44% of his portfolio in just one stock, in Apple stock. That's a little surprising because investing wisdom says, for the most part, that you could benefit from the benefits of diversification by owning roughly 40 stocks and evenly splitting your portfolio among those 40 stocks. So Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, is going against generally accepted investing wisdom by holding such a concentrated portfolio, with one stock making up nearly half of his portfolio. So in this video, I wanted to go through some of Apple's financial metrics to show why I think Warren Buffett feels so comfortable in owning, in allocating so much of his Berkshire Hathaway portfolio to just that one stock. So let's get right into those details. Starting with Apple's revenue annual growth over the last decade, what you could see is Apple's revenue growing from close to $160 billion in 2014 all the way up to $394 billion in its most recent annual update. That's phenomenal growth at scale. It's one thing to double your revenue in a decade. That's impressive in itself. But it's another thing to grow your business by more than $230 billion at the same time, right? Some companies double from 5 to 10 billion, right? Apple doubled from 160 billion to more than 390 billion, right? So that's more impressive when you do it at scale. And remember, Warren Buffett's portfolio consists of over $300 billion. And so for him, it doesn't make sense to look for small companies and spend all the time and effort and energy finding good value in very small companies, because it will hardly move the needle for his portfolio, right? He's got $300 billion to invest. He needs to find big companies, elephants as he likes to call it, to put a big chunk of money into and earn a big wholesome return, as he's done with Apple stock over the years. Another reason why I think Warren Buffett is so attracted to Apple stock is its very lucrative business model. The cash flow from operations to sales I have here over the trailing 12 months at 28.46% is strong, to be sure, especially when you consider Apple is still mostly a hardware business. The services side of the business is growing nicely, but for the most part, it is a hardware business relying on that iPhone. And partly, one of the things Warren Buffett talks about is having a moat, a competitive advantage in your business. And Apple certainly has many areas where it demonstrates that moat. Number one being that there are more than 1 billion Apple devices in use today. That means over 1 billion iPhones, Mac computers, iPads people are using right now. And why that's a competitive advantage is because once somebody gets used to using a certain hardware, a certain product for such a long time, as Apple loyalists have, is it makes it difficult for them to switch, right? They've customized their products, they've gotten into the habits that they've gotten into. It's going to be difficult for a competitor to steal those customers away from Apple, even though Apple sells its products at premium prices that generate very strong profit margins, which segues nicely into the operating profit margin over the trailing 12 months, consistently above 20%, sometimes touching above 30% in the last decade, which is again very strong. And the mix of the business, as I mentioned earlier, for Apple is continuously shifting more and more towards services, and Apple's services come at nearly twice the gross profit margin as its hardware. When Apple sells you a subscription to Apple Music, it makes twice as much profit margin as when Apple sells you an iPhone or something hardware other than the iPhone as well. So the more services grows, the more Apple's profit margin has room to go higher than its already incredible profit margin it demonstrates. And finally, Apple stock, it's only really gotten expensive recently, trading at a forward price to earnings of 29. This run up this year in 2023 has been incredible. But to start the year, Apple stock was trading very inexpensively, the cheapest it's ever been at a forward PE of less than 20. And now the stock has rallied to a price to earnings of over 29, making Warren Buffett and his Berkshire Hathaway portfolio handsomely rich indeed. So for all these reasons, I can understand why Warren Buffett has the confidence to run such a concentrated portfolio, holding so much in Apple stock, and it has rewarded him. He has been right when it counted most. So kudos to Warren Buffett here, as if he needs any more than he's already gotten. But that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.